We are going to go to our next guest, which is Lucas Cioffi. Did I say your name right? Is it Cioffi?
Yeah.
Like a CH. Cioffi.
Cioffi. Okay.
Oh,
there
Cioffi.
There we go. There we go.
Had a couple of Cioffies
Sorry,
in my life.
sound effects is not working for some reason. We give everybody a round of applause when they first get here. And you are, and this is, well, now we've had him on. Paul Feiner is the current town supervisor for Greenburgh. And this man has been there. Good man. I like him. He comes, he writes for the paper sometimes and everything. He's been there since
28 years, buddy.
Oh, has it been 28 years?
28 years.
Okay, that's a little nice. I was going to say since the year of the flood.
And you know what?
Okay, so I was going to say this
12 years without a challenger.
12 years without a challenger.
Right.
I believe that you need term limits on certain things. But if somebody's doing a good job, then maybe you continue. I don't know. I'm on the fence by that. He's one of the rare people that I think he's done a decent job. But there's always I think politics needs new blood and new people and new ideas, and I think people being in too long promotes complacency and all those things. So
I'm glad that he got a challenger.
Obviously, you might feel some of these things because you decided to be a challenger. And you are challenging him for Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
That's right. Well, AJ, Lorraine, I just want to say I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you for the show. Let's just step back for a moment.
We're glad you're here.
What are we doing right here? We're talking about power and empowerment.
Right.
That's you bring people on the show like Karen, not just opening doors, but kicking down doors.
Right.
Yes.
It's about empowerment. And she's not doing it for herself. She's doing it for the people she will serve. So I got started with open government in 2009 through 11.
What is open government for people that don't know? I try to break down. What is that?
Barack Obama, first day in office, creates this memorandum on open government. It has 3 parts: transparency, public participation, and collaboration.
Okay.
I bought in then. I started organizing conferences to help his initiatives succeed. I was outside government. I work with NASA, EPA, Treasury. We're hosting conferences at these agencies to help bring out these great ideas of all these people working in his administration for how can we make government serve the people more. He came out right off the beginning, first day in office, wanted to make that happen. I started putting in roots here back in Greenburgh where I grew up.
Okay.
Gone for 20 years, served in the military, small business owner, open government advocate in DC. And when I started to see that we're not open here in Greenburgh, that means we are not empowered. I'll take one example right here. So Paul Feiner's been in office for 28 years. He's done a lot of favors for a lot of people. I completely agree. He'll call you back when you call him, but that's not enough. We need more. The example of Fairview, for example. What's Paul Feiner done for Fairview?
What's Fairview?
Fairview, right outside White Plains, in the White Plains Post Office District. We got the 4th largest African-American community by percentage in all of New York State. And when we look around Fairview, we see nothing but high-end car dealerships that are not serving the people of Fairview. You cannot walk to a supermarket to get what you need. There's no barbershop. There aren't even places to sit down like a public park nearby the commercial sector. The reason this has happened is because the development process has not been open. People find out what's built in Fairview after it's built, not before. So transparency and public participation, that President Obama put the flag in the ground and said, this is the way we need to operate in 2009. That's what we need here in Greenburgh. People need to be brought into the process to say, what do we need to build here? How do we need to zone our neighborhoods so that they serve the people? Open government is about empowerment. Government as a platform that you can stand on. Not just that you sit back and wait for them to serve us like there's some machine you put $1 in, you get a can of Coke out. But it's an active process.
Now, I know that there's a couple of situations. I'm getting a bunch of letters to the editor and phone calls about, what is it, Terry Hill? Do you know the apartments?
Terry Hill. This one is heartbreaking. It's an affordable housing community.
Oh, yeah, they're trying to kick him out, right?
run by a private developer. Now, it's good that it was created back in 1995 or so, and the investors back then wanted to sell in 2016. They had to go to Greenburgh, the government, to ask for permission to sell and get consent for the new owner. But the way that Greenburgh did it, they did not involve the residents in the process. If they involved the residents in the process, they probably would have researched on Twitter who's about to buy the place where I live. And if you look, before Greenburgh consented to the sale, the landlord retweeted something. He said, "The money is in cash flow. How to dump tenants and make money in New York City real estate." And he linked to an article about the chaotic, abusive process through which New York City landlords turn affordable housing into luxury apartments. And the even more shocking thing about this, the fact that the town consented to this sale, is that my opponent, Paul Feiner, went to high school with the landlord. Now, we can't prove, or I'm not going to insinuate that anything wrong was done. But the fact is, we should know why Mr. Feiner didn't vote that day. We don't have an open government where we can find out why someone will refrain from a vote. And why weren't the people brought in to research who's about to buy? So why does it matter? People are being forced out of their apartments because of lack of maintenance. I know some of these residents. I toured the place when they invited me in. It is shocking, the condition that some live in. Yet some have good apartments because they're trying to turn those into apartments where they can get even more rent. But the people who are neediest are left out in the cold. Terry Hill Apartments. I'm not going to mention names of the developers. They're private people. But it's about the process by which our town didn't bring in the residents from the very beginning. And they got treated as an afterthought. And if people watch the town board meetings, there were residents coming to the microphone crying about it just weeks ago. Because that is their life that they live in day to day, and they are neglected.
Are they being asked to move, the tenants, or they're just being neglected? Because I thought I heard that they were like being forced or pushed out. Some of them, no.
I know of at least 2 that got their apartments shut down due to terrible situation where there was a fire and there's mold everywhere. The water from the apartments above did not get shut down in time after, and so the flooding just everywhere on the bottom floors. But that wasn't these problems started years ago when the new ownership took in. That's what these tenants are saying. And they showed photos of sewer problems, water coming out of their toilets, dirty water into their kids' rooms, into their kitchen. These are systemic problems that were not related to any recent incident. This should have been identified by the town board much earlier on in the process. There are some other things which are pretty, they really raise your eyebrow, and they say, well, how can this be happening in Greenburgh? Greenburgh Public Housing Authority. We got some people on the board there, been there 20 years. Residents don't feel like they're being heard. I believe we need term limits of 10 years to make sure we keep it fresh.
Now, I was going to ask you that if you won, do you support term limits? A lot of people support term limits when they're not a candidate, when they're the candidate, but when they become the elected official, then it's like
they want to extend
they want to do
they overturn it.
Or they do like Mayor Koch in the city. He served like 80 terms and then made term limits on his way out. Like,
term limits will be one of the first things to put in place. I think 12, 14, 16 years, that ballpark. I think it's also up to the rest of the town board. Let's talk about it. But 12 years, as running as an independent, you see that no one has challenged Mr. Feiner in 12 years. And without that challenge, we don't get the fresh ideas. And
I believe in challenging, even if the person stays in office and stays in office, the challenges make I always say, talking about the young lady that's running, when you run, the important thing of running, people, is not even just winning. If you have things that you're passionate about and you bring those things to the table, you make the candidates that are running that they're like, and you make them talk about these things that they may not have talked about before, and you challenge them and you make them bring up issues, and then if you get 30% of the vote, and this one thing was very important to you, the person who wins got to look at that situation and be like, I might want to look into that because 30% of the people that's what they care about. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it forces your hand.
Makes
like,
a lot of sense, AJ. But I think term limits are important because the way that we're running our government in Greenburgh is about favors. And it's not just me saying this. A federal court case.
But isn't that the way they run government, period? Not just Greenburgh? I mean, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, but all across the board, isn't it like favors is...
Greenburgh's gone above and beyond. And a federal court found that was the case. 2012, when the town attempted, in terms of given favors, the town attempted to extort from a church a payment in lieu of taxes. It ignored and replaced the planning commissioner when he advocated on church's behalf. Town staff intentionally destroyed relevant evidence. Supervisor Feiner, also a licensed attorney, testified he did not refrain from destroying documents, even though he anticipated litigation in this matter as early as December 2001. So this is a federal court case brought against our town.
That's a Trump move. That was a Trump move.
Destroying evidence. We don't have an open government there, and we don't have challengers. This kind of thing is allowed to go on. As someone who's challenging, it's extremely hard to get your name on. When someone's doing favors for all sorts of constituents and doing it with our tax dollars, when we're paying for this one $6.5 million, it's the largest settlement for religious discrimination in the history of any municipality. We're paying $700,000 per year all the way through 2024. Many people don't even know about this. There's not a lot of local news that covers Greenburgh. So thank goodness for your show. You're kicking down doors. You're not asking for permission. You're getting the news out there.
AJ never asks nobody for no permission. He goes after it. Yeah, big time.
I mean, we tried to fill a void. There was a much needed void, especially for the African American community. But period, there's a local void. I was just talking to some people at FIOS and News 12. And Lohad has also said they're glad when I'm there at certain press conferences because they're not there every day. They're not boots on the ground every day,
Yeah.
So they're kind of happy when they see me there because they know, especially like a Mount Vernon situation, that the person can't lie because I'm right there, and yeah.
So bottom line is, I think that we need a lot more community participate in how our government works.
I
agree. Got to make it work for the people.
I agree.
And I think we're kind of sitting back thinking government's solving our problems. When we look around, we don't have supermarkets we can walk to, high-end car dealerships that don't serve us. We see it's
I don't know if you listen to the show.
There's also seniors, a lot of seniors there that need services in Greenburgh.
I don't know if you listen to the show, but I'm big on we're looking for a savior to save us. We don't get involved enough.
That's right.
In our community, and I get on the Mount Vernon community about that, but as a whole, we want to vote somebody in and just leave him there, and he's supposed to solve all of our problems. Like, it's the community has to be engaged. You know what I'm saying? And voting is not the end of your job. You know what I'm saying?
We have to keep showing up, and we also need ways to show up. It's not just coming to a town board meeting Wednesday at 10 o'clock at night. You get 3 minutes at the microphone. That's not an open government. Sure, Mr. Feiner will show up at all the fairs and Oktoberfest, but if we don't have a voice before the decisions are made, it's also about respect. Town board meetings don't even start on time.
One Greenburgh resident, Luis Cherico, said Paul even claims that he is powerless to put up stop signs, change variances that allow private businesses that do not want to open up in the strip mall, that prohibits seating. I cannot open a coffee shop on 119 Route 119 unless it's to go only. He refuses to put up seasonal decorations between Elmsford and White Plains.
That's right.
And then she said, in capital letters, "Preach, Lucas," and a heart. Yes.
and we also need community commitment agreements so that whenever development does happen right there on 119, the community's brought in so that developers, while we still have the leverage, when they want the variance from us, they're committing to job training, to jobs, and building stores that the community wants to see there. Community benefit agreements just came out in the last town board meeting. Town board says it's a good idea, but it's been 28 years. And it hasn't happened. Other municipalities across the country do it. We don't have to invent anything new. Just got to look at the other ideas that are already happening across the board. And tax control is another idea. We had that 33% increase in county sales tax in Westchester County. Went from 3 to 4%. 33% increase for people that are spending all their dollars, not investing dollars. It's a regressive tax that hurts people who are working families the most. Mr. Feiner said that hopefully this is going to help us with property taxes. But he didn't even commit to doing that until our campaign put out a 2-year tax freeze promise. We're going to freeze the tax levy for 2 years. He's following us and saying, okay, I'm going to do a 1-year tax freeze. But we are leading the way because we know it's possible. And I also want to say, in terms of fresh ideas, meeting 3,000 residents across Greenburgh, they come up with all these ideas that have been on the sideline, on the shelf for years. We've got this Greenburgh budget report, 2001, 64 recommendations that Mr. Feiner won't even say which ones he's achieved in the last 8 years. We've asked him for months. He won't even say what he's done from this 1-year report. One of these residents said one great way we could save money is with solar power. So I started looking at this. We're going to announce this later this week. We can make $1 million a year on solar without spending a dime by working in public-private partnerships, putting solar panels across all our school buildings, commercial buildings. It's a win-win. Tenants win, taxpayers win, our town wins. These are the types of exciting ideas that when we get a competitive election, voters say, this is an idea I've had. And a new candidate comes along, looks at that idea and says, yes, let's give that idea more attention, bring it to the front of the debate, and that's how change happens.
Let me ask you a question, because I always say Mount Vernon kind of bullies all the other municipalities as far as news. They monopolize the news, especially lately. I know there was a situation where there was part of Greenburgh that was trying to incorporate or something, or where's that at? How's that? Do you know whatever happened with that? I know you weren't in office, but
Edgemont is trying to become a village.
That's what it is. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Edgemont. Met my wife in Edgemont.
So how do you
25
feel?
years ago.
How do you feel about them being a village, or do you think they should or shouldn't? Or?
So I'm running for Greenburgh Town Supervisor, which means I have to be objective and fair and run for the town, not any one community.
Right.
So to prove to people that whether there's bias or not, there's a way that we found working with other residents that were concerned about this. How can we make sure that there's no bias from this Edgemont candidate? And it's simple. Work with the town board. These are 4 people from outside Edgemont. Together, the 5 of us choose a person who's going to evaluate Edgemont's next petition whenever it might come and see whether Edgemont gets to vote or not. So that's a way to make sure that I stay out of it and ensure that Greenburgh residents can trust that I'm not going to be biased in the process at all.
What line are you running in?
I'm an independent. I'm all the way at the bottom of the ballot. It's going to say Greenburgh next to my name.
Now, you know what? When I was doing my story, because I did a list of the candidates, I spent a lot of time on you because it said, it tells everybody else, like they had the D for Democrat, R for Republican. Go all the way. Then there's the new party, SAM, S-A-M. And then under his it said the Greenburgh Party. I was like, oh, I must have made a mistake. So I had to go all the way back, and I'm looking. I'm like, there's no Greenburgh Party. Hold on. I gotta, and that's what it says, the Greenburgh Party. So that's what I listed you, the Greenburgh Party.
Exactly. So it's really tough as an independent when you're running against the major parties because, for example, you've got to get twice as many signatures on your petition. My incumbent opponent had to get 750. I had to get 1,500. And in 3 weeks, we got 2,932. So almost twice as many as we need because there's so much interest in seeing someone new against Mr. Feiner.
Did he try to challenge you?
He thankfully,
no?
because we had almost twice as many as we needed, he didn't even try. He did tell his supporters, don't try, but there was no way they were going to win that because we had just volunteers come out with 1,000 signatures. 100 volunteers came out with 1,000, made us go way over the top. So I'm on the Greenburgh Party line. I chose the word Greenburgh because I think we need a new brand as Greenburgh.
So did you okay, so you chose the word Greenburgh and made it a party? Like is like, don't you have there's steps that you have to go through to make it a party? Like
so
instead of
so it's the Greenburgh Party?
Because at first, one place, because I Googled you to do my list, one place said the Independence Party, but then everything else said Greenburgh Party. So
I'm independent. But the Board of Elections...
And not Independence Party, but right. Independent.
Exactly.
Belonging to none of the established
and
parties.
The Board of Elections...
So you're registered as an independent?
I am.
Okay, cool.
And so
that was my daughter.
The Board of Elections does not let you use the word independent next to your name.
Right.
You have to choose another word. So I chose Greenburgh because I think that we need to identify as a town. We have all these little villages.
That's pretty...
All these little villages.
That's pretty cool.
We're not working together. When my opponent put out a mailing to a whole lot of people. It was a divisive mailing where it says, hey, this guy's from Edgemont, insinuating, and it's saying, probably highly well-funded. This is a grassroots campaign. He's raising 30 to 1 compared to us because he's been in office for so long. He had $85,000 before we even got out of the gate.
Holy crap.
So the point is, I want to put Greenburgh back on the map. Greenburgh has so much potential. We need to start working together. My right-hand man, Cliff Abrams, he and I have learned a ton about each other.
Shout out to Cliff. I met him
he's here in the
officially
studio.
yesterday at Cupcake Cutie. He came down to the anniversary. He knows Damon, but I met him officially yesterday.
The bridge
He's a cool cat. Just met him.
The bridge that he and I have built between ourselves as two Greenburgh boys, born and raised in very different communities, we realized we have to build bridges between us and between our communities.
Yeah.
That's how we can work together as a town. We share the same budget, but we don't share the same outlook. We need to play together if we're going to work together. We need to have sports, more sports across town, sharing rec departments. Villages have a lot of tension with unincorporated Greenburgh. We need to fix that. The new tax laws come into effect. Money is tighter for homeowners wherever they own a home. Fairview, Edgemont, Hartsdale, Elmsford. We need to find ways to work together, sharing services.
Shout out to Susie Lopez.
What's up, sis?
Lorraine's
I
sister,
love you.
who works in Greenburgh. That's why I
yeah,
said. Shout out to everybody, but I
Back
specifically
manager,
mentioned.
HSBC, Greenburgh, Tarrytown Road.
Yeah, so
25 years she's been there.
So I just want to give her a shout out real quick.
I love you, sis.
Before I forget, and I try to do this with all the kids.
Wait, look what Cicely said. She said, I like that he said our campaign and not.
Go ahead, finish it now.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
You finish.
Okay. Okay. She's my friend. Okay. I like that he said our campaign and not my campaign. It is an effort of more than one.
And before I forget, I wanted to. Anybody hearing you? Some people might be listening for the first time. I edit the video and then I'll post it, so everybody, you'll have the video of this by itself. How for people that want to reach out to you, know more about you, follow you on social media,
join the campaign, volunteer,
donate. How do people get in touch with you?
Two things I'll say is we need to demand from our town more community
commitment.
Community commitment agreements. It means showing up at town board meetings and holding their feet to the fire.
That's what you just said, AJ.
We need to do that. If they want to find anything about our campaign, I'm at greenburgh.us. My name is Lucas Cioffi. I'm running for town supervisor here in the town of Greenburgh. I'm an independent. I'm a combat veteran. Work with the Obama administration on open government. I'm a software developer. I'm an engineer. We're going to bring an engineer's mindset to how we open up our government and make the budget work for our people.
You need to be the new supervisor. He does.
So you didn't. I think we've already answered this question, but Charles Stern.
And thank you for serving.
Charles Stern. I'm sorry. I'm always reading comments and stuff.
Go ahead.
You've already answered it, but Charles Stern had asked, were you the guy that primaried Fina in the Democratic primary? And
no, that was someone else.
You already established that you were independent.
That was 2013, and the last time that there was a general election challenge was 12 years ago. That's why I believe it's so important. The Democratic Party should run additional candidates because we need that, even if they're not going to win against the incumbent. We need people stepping forward. I'm a software developer, so I jumped into this because I knew no one has challenged them in 12 years. As an open government advocate, they say, if you want to learn about something, try to change it. So I want to learn about our government, so I try to change it. I try to compete, no personal attacks. It's all about the record.
We definitely don't have that problem at Mount Vernon. I think 8 candidates, they didn't all make the ballot, tried to run in 2015.
Wow.
And close to 8 candidates almost tried to run this year. Everybody didn't make the ballot, though. So we never have a problem with everybody want to just run. I just like,
Yonkers is getting ready to get a big one with Nita Lowy retiring.
Oh, yes. Shout out to her. She's retiring. I want to give her a shout
candidates out the woodwork.
So what Charles Stern asked, why not primary him and run as a Democrat?
Well, I am an independent, so I'm being true to myself.
Okay, no, but I'm just, I know you addressed that, but I just want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
also one other important thing, so we're talking about Fairview Cliffs from Fairview, and it goes without saying that the community center, Theodore D. Young Community Center, is unlike any other community center nearby. It serves people in Greenburgh, serves people outside Greenburgh.
Yes,
it is an amazing cultural resource.
Yes.
I love the festival they have, the music they play.
The jazz.
The jazz thing. Yeah.
Been there several times. And, as someone from Edgemont, growing up 17 years before I went to West Point, I never been to those jazz festivals. That's something we need to change. We need to share that culture with people who've never experienced it before. And the community center, it needs funding that it used to have.
Yeah.
We need programs to serve youth. Currently, those programs are not working for those youth who have possibilities. They don't want that kind of clientele walking through the doors.
And shout out to Stephen Lewis. He is one of the brothers of the Lewis brothers from Atlantic Star, and he also works with the Jazz Festival. So he's on right now. I just wanted to give him a shout out. Yeah.
Fantastic. It personally very rewarding for me to go, and it's new for me as a candidate, as a software developer. When you run for office, you open your mind because you meet with so many people in so many walks of life, and they share with you the challenges that they have. Keeping an open mind and empathizing and looking for solutions that'll work for all residents. I encourage anyone who's thinking about it to try sometime. Volunteer for a campaign. Put your name out there. Run a campaign. It's above board. No personal attacks. You won't have anything to regret.
Yeah. Nice.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want people to know about your campaign or you as a person?
As Americans of all different backgrounds, we can never take anything about our government for granted. Our government will not stay the way it is unless we stay involved. From 2004, 2005, when I was serving in Sadr City, Baghdad, we helped the Iraqi people with their first election in decades. We're riding around in the Humvees that morning.
Oh my God, you was part of that history?
And the way, because they don't have all this technology, the way that they do their registration to make sure people only vote once, they have this dye you put on your finger. It's purple. Yeah. And we're driving by and they show us their purple finger saying, "Thank you for giving us this right to vote."
Wow.
And that image sticks with me.
Wow, that's
why
powerful.
we have the right to vote here, November 5th.
Yeah.
We can't take it for granted. We got to hold our elected officials accountable.
Yeah,
every day.
Yes, big time.
Now, a little off subject. It has nothing to do with Greenburgh. As a veteran and as being over there in the Middle East, what are your thoughts on what's going on now, that whole thing with Syria and Turkey and all that? Any quick thoughts?
Well, I'll share a thought about that. Yeah. So I've got a personal friend who was our translator over there overseas. He was an American, became a citizen. He's the biggest heart of anyone I've ever met. And he exemplifies the Kurdish people to me. Kurdish people are about 25 plus million. They don't even have a nation of their own.
Right.
I'd love to see that changed. They have a democracy. They are thriving in a very difficult place. It's heartbreaking to think about all the different sides of that conflict. I'm so focused on Greenburgh now, so my head's in the weeds. Right. But just to think about, wow, people that struggle to provide for their families in the face of adversity. It's so deeply human, and they are a great friend to America. We need to support them.
Okay, I feel that. Yeah, I was just watching that on MSNBC today, so I was like, and then when you start talking about the Middle East, I had to ask that. Lorraine, any questions?
No, I want to make a statement. I just want to congratulate you for taking that step and making the decision to go ahead and run against the current supervisor, because I believe after 28 years and 12 years unopposed, it's time somebody stepped in and said, you know what, maybe I can do something better. Because after 28 years, what else are you going to say?
We said that
really
when Richard Thomas ran the first time in 2015, one of the things was Ernie Davis had been in 16 years over a 20-year period. And one of the selling points was if you can't get it done in 16
Right.
years over a 20-year period,
No,
you're not,
it's time.
none of the
It's
stuff
for
you
some
say you're
fresh
going to do, you're
blood.
going to do. If you ain't did it yet, you're not going to do it.
Nah.
Yeah,
And I want to speak to that, AJ. So I'm running a respectful campaign because a lot of people appreciate the things that Mr. Feiner has done for them personally. He calls himself a problem solver. He'll pick up the phone when you call him.
Yes,
No, great man.
he's
Great
one of
man.
he's
But
one
that
of the
doesn't mean he's a-
He's one of the. I just want to say this one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
He is one of the few elected officials, and we work on stories all the time. I need quotes from the elected officials. I need information from the elected officials. No matter, a lot of times I work at night. It could be 2:00 in the morning. I send this man an email. And he emails me back, and if like a half an hour later, I'm like, it's 2:30 in the morning. What are you doing up? Like,
Yeah,
but
he's a friend
always
of Black
so- yeah,
Westchester, but
yeah.
you know what?
No,
I think-
but I'm talking about that's one thing I want to give him a compliment
Yeah.
on. That has
Absolutely.
nothing to do with this. I just wanted to give him a
but
compliment.
at the same time, right about now, he's become a career politician.
Well, go ahead.
And I want to extend that same compliment to him. But it's about thinking differently. He's one problem solver for 90,000 people. He can't solve all our problems. What we need are systems in place, open systems, so that we can see all the problems that are being worked on and make sure that our town is solving them. One man in the middle of all our communication, it's not entirely his fault. He's always running for office, always issuing press releases. But the problem is, it's not serving our community. And the proof is when you drive down 119, you see all those high-end car dealerships not serving the people that live one block away. That's the proof right there that our government is not working for its people, and we need to change that. We need to change it this November.
We've had several listeners and readers have brought to my attention that I guess 119 used to be a lot of African American businesses, and now there are no African American businesses on 119 anymore, or something like that.
That's right. And there used to be a lot of homes there, and they got removed and turned into a supermarket. There's a highway that runs through Fairview. I want to see a rebirth of what was there, but I want to see it owned by the people who want to see this vision come true, because it's the fourth largest African American community in New York.
In New York State?
And there are no, in New York State.
Wow.
And you can't find Black-owned businesses. You can't find the Black culture.
That's true.
There. And that needs to change.
Yo,
we
that
want to
is
see
true.
that richness out there on display for the next generation. It's a problem we should start working on now.
Multicultural, yeah. It's a
like that. I like
multicultural
that.
town, and
Yeah,
it should
when I-
reflect it.
When I'm supervisor, we are going to make sure that we have businesses that people want to see there.
Word, oxtails.
So, one more time, website, any social media.
AJ, thank you. We're Greenburgh.us. We're also on Twitter. Lucas Cioffi, name spelled Cioffi. Greenburgh.us. Thanks very much for your consideration tonight. I look forward to seeing people around town on the campaign trail. 3 short weeks left. Please remember, get out there and vote. Whomever you vote for, Mr. Feiner or myself,
Right.
please vote. Take advantage of that right we have as Americans.
Okay. The paper will be out Tuesday. The issue that's out now is up there if you want to grab a couple of copies. Our Westchester Music issue. Thank you for supporting. As we said, Paul had been a friend of the show, has come to the show, and if and when you win, I hope to see you back on the show as supervisor, using this as your forum to get the word out to the community and educate the people.
That would be so awesome.
Thank you so much, AJ. And if Paul would like to have a debate, I would love to debate him on your show.
Oh,
I will
yes.
I will reach out to him.
Yes. Oh, AJ's like, oh, yeah.
I will reach out to him today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
he does debates.
you,
Yeah.
Lorraine.
No, thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure
Fantastic.
to meet you.
Well,
one last
By the way,
comment.
somebody said unity and inclusivity.
Yeah,
That's what it's about.
That's what you represent. Thank
That's
you.
what
Someone
we
else
need.
said, "Great job, Lucas."
Great.
Yes, yes.
Thanks
Great
again.
job,
Have a good night,
Lucas.
everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for coming.